over your Etsy shop, over and through your Etsy shop. I love to discuss the buying process because I love trying to look at why do people buy when they do? What motivates the purchase? Why do I buy when I do? What compelled the sale? And there's movement in shopping. There's movement when visitors come through and successfully convert to actual customers. And there's also movement in successful marketing. There's a lot of movement when the customer comes from the first time you introduce yourself in a marketing plan to them actually buying. You've actually moved the customer quite a bit. And that flow is fabulous for you as a seller because it helps you help the buyer overcome their hesitations and their obstacles. And this is something we can all relate to. I'm going to take the buying process into the physical storefront. And so what do you do whenever you are looking for a product in the physical world? Let's say you enter the Target. We're going to notice the movement of you as the buyer from the time that you enter the store to the time that you check out at the cart. So the first thing you do is you physically enter a store. That's the first step of the buying process. You come there with something in mind. You're looking for something. And then you browse the aisles, still looking for your item, still trying to find it in the store. There's movement the entire time. You were moved to go to the store. You were moved to browse the aisles. And then you find the product that you're looking for. In the aisles, you find the item. And once you are close to it, once you're up to it, you start to handle the actual item. From that point, you are either going to put it in your shopping cart or you're going to put it down. So just like the first impression, there's so much going in there that we don't even notice about ourselves, that we certainly have never stopped to think about how the customer does that or what the customer is doing. But that's a 5-step process. You enter, you browse, you find the item, you handle the item, and then you add it to cart. That's a two-way street. You're either going to add it to cart or you're going to put it back on the shelf and decide you don't want it. There's a lot of things you're thinking the entire time that goes through. And there's more to it than just, you know, you're thinking, do I like the quality? Do I like what I'm handling whenever I pick it up? And then I want to translate that online because it's a very similar process. Pardon me. And we're all online. So when a visitor lands on your website, they have searched for the item. They've searched for your brand in question. They get to your Etsy storefront. They scan that storefront. They're looking at the shop cohesion. They're gathering their first impression. They click on the item that they're interested in. They read its listing, and then they either add it to cart or they click away altogether. That, too, is a 5-step process. Very similar, just a few different steps. So online, again, the buying process was they search, they scan, they click, they read its listing, and they add it to cart and buy. It's important to note that the customer always tries the product on in their mind first. So I always tell people, make sure your customer is trying the product on, and you have the natural reaction. But I sell my products online. The customer can't try it on. But regardless of whether we're in the store or whether we're shopping online, we always try the product on in our mind first. If we see a shirt, we're wondering, what will that shirt look like on me? We put it on before we actually put it on. If we see a vase, we wonder what that would look like in the spot that we are shopping for, the intended spot. And we put it there in our home long before we even touch the vase or get it home or add it to cart. So this is how this relates to our work today. When your customer is searching for your product, for your brand, they're looking for something unique. They're searching for something specific. They want to achieve something. They want to solve something. They want something to be, or even they just want something to interest them. When they scan your storefront, your shop cohesion, and that's everything we've talked about today, welcomes them to your storefront, invites them to browse, to kick off their shoes, to start shopping, and also introduces your brand for the very first time. And then your photographs are what are in place to present your product, to present your offer. It's what's going to attract them, pull them in, and make them want to click. If they end up on your product listing page, it's more than anything else, more about this process, it's really important that you realize that on their product page, they're very interested in buying. They've really moved. If they were in the storefront, if they were in a physical store place, they have come into the store, they've scanned the aisles, they're looking for your product, they're really getting close to buying. They've done a lot of movement up into that point, and it's time to keep them moving. If they end up on your product listing page and they start to read, they're in the process of moving to buy. If they're reading that product description, they are in the process, they're moving to buy. And they're also handling the project. It would be as when they're reading the listing and they're looking for quality questions, they're looking for weight questions, they're looking for measurements. It's the same as when they're in the store and they're actually handling it. We're so close to them buying because from this point, it's either going to go in their cart. From reading the listing, it's either going to add to cart or they're going to click away. So you can see how much movement got them to that point, and you can see that there's already a momentum going with them. There's a flow going with them. And the last thing for them to do is buy. There are details at every stage of this process that encourage that movement. And if that movement were currency, then your strong branding is a good conductor for that currency. Your shop cohesion is a good conductor for that currency, and your photographs are an excellent conductor for that currency to keep that currency flowing. So the last step to a perfect storefront is copywriting. Copywriting is a sales conversation, and it includes a direct request, and it's often more persuasive than other online writing. It's persuasive, but at the same time, it's still casual, it's still personal and friendly, and it's very welcoming. It would be equivalent to in the storefront. Would you like to try that on? Is there anything else I can help with? Type of moving the buyer through to checkout. It's written specifically to help the buyer decide, to encourage them to check out and to keep them moving through and to become actual customers for your shop. When the customer is reading your listing, again, it's as if they're in the store physically handling the product, and they are either going to add it to their shopping cart or put it back. It's step 4 of only a 5-step buying process. This is an exercise that you can do right now to determine if your copywriting needs work. Now, the industry conversion rate for online sales is a very low 2 to 3%. And those are very good numbers. So you can expect 2% of your traffic to actually make a sale. We've talked a lot about the truth of online business, and that's why I love these numbers. This is a very low conversion rate, and it's naturally low. And if you can say that your conversion rate is 2%, you actually have a really strong placement, and you have very strong copywriting. So just to give you an idea of how that figure converts, if you want to make 2 sales, you want to make sure you have offered it to 100 people. So I'm going to say that again because that's important to know, because we're always looking for more sales. And so I want to make 2 sales. I have to make sure 100 people have seen that offer in order to guarantee and hope for those 2 sales. If sometimes we're dreaming big and we say we're going to have a sale or something like that, and in one of my examples, I have that I want to make 150 sales. Well, if I want to make 100 sales, I have to show that offer to 5,000 people. That's how those numbers get bigger. If I want to make 100 sales, I have to work to market my product in front of 5,000 people. So the exercise you can do, pull up your most popular product and look at the number of views it's had in the last 30 days. And then you're going to multiply those views by 0.02 to calculate 2%. And then you want to compare the sum to the number of sales that you actually have, that you've converted. And this offers you, again, a realistic idea of the number of views. People are saying, I'm getting a lot of views, but I'm not getting any sales. And this gives you a realistic idea